Hello, welcome back. I had recorded a vegetable garden tour earlier, but it was too bright out and I couldn't see the screen, so the footage wasn't to my liking. But that's okay. Today, it is actually the perfect weather. We had rain yesterday and the area is still wet, so that's why I put on my water resistant overalls. And I'm going to clean out these every bed and then show you the bed after I got it cleaned out and speak about what's in it. Normally when I'm weeding, I like to do it on a sunny, drier day just because then the weeds that are grown from seed, I can just pull up, shake the dirt off them and drop them down on the ground. Then they'll shrivel up and die and become just part of the mulch. Now, I never totally eliminate the weeds, and I think I've said that several times before, because then you're getting down into really picking at every little thing, and because of the rocks on the surface, it makes it difficult to use one of those hoop holes to just go back and forth. Then the other thing is with my garden, and you'll see I have chamomile here that I'm trying to get to grow as a weed. I figured out how to turn up my screen brightness. Might be able to see a little better now. Anyway, this is black turtle beans, and yeah, they're looking the worse for wear, but they are perked up now, and with the weather we're going to have in the next few days, they should come along just fine. This is where the carrots are, and carrots are being a disappointment to me. This is the ones I direct sowed, and I find the occasional one that has sprouted. That looks like one there. But to be honest, there's hardly any. The chamomile that I mentioned, you see, I have plants growing up in quite a few places. And I want chamomile to be spotted throughout because it's a reseeding annual, and then you just go around foraging your flowers. And over here I had put in sugar beets. Oh, I missed one. So I'm not expecting them to be up yet, but there are a couple up. Right down here, that's one coming there, and the one next to him is right there. So that's two up. They'll be coming up now over the coming days. Since it's been 19 days and I can't really see any carrots coming up there, I'm going to reseed it and just set it out like I did the last time. If the forecast is right, we should have a good period for setting carrots. Now, it's supposed to be higher humidity and not really wet days, but kind of moist days. I put a little cup up here, and I remembered that I have a packet of carrot seed, Chantenay red cord carrots, that I'm going to set here. This time I'm going to do like we used to do before and wipe the soil back and forth on the rows. That's 6 rows. This is one of the reasons why I can't have a weed-free garden. These are carrot seedlings. I don't remember planting carrots here. And there is more over here. There's a fairly big one there. And in among the beans over on the other side. So I have to be careful when I'm weeding the garden that I don't pull up what I don't want to pull up. If in this area, if it wasn't for things like that, I could take the hoop hole and just quickly go in between every day and keep this completely weed free. But like I said, I have to be careful that I don't go pulling up and destroying things that I don't want destroyed. The main thing that's planted in this bed, this is the Gaspé Flint corn. There's 9 on this end, and there's 1 zucchini dark green right there. This is the Jacob's Cattle beans. They're doing well. And on this end, I had planted 10 corn. One of them might not make it. And then there's another zucchini dark green. Since there was no surprise sprouts coming up here, I was able to take that hoop hole and go over the garden in outer space here. And since I hand pollinate them anyway, there's a very low chance that they'll cross with the other varieties because of that. I'm going to plant these 3 butternut squash right here, and I will probably plant some rows of beets among there as well and see which one does best, and if I need to clear something up later, then I can do so. This one now, he just barely got his seed leaves open, but hopefully you'll do fine there. Just put them here in a triangle shape. I like roasted butternut squash, which is why I really want to get them to grow. Last year I didn't get any, as you might remember. So I think I'll put like I said, I'll put some rows of red beets among there, and what grows best grows best. And I have another dark zucchini that I'm going to put among the corn. This tool kind of already exists as a commercial product. The one that I seen had it's a loop instead of a flat part across here, and it stuck out from the end. So I said, that's kind of awkward. I made one this shape and a flat portion so it'll work the same way as the bigger hole, but this is just 2 inches across. And where there are fewer plants to worry about, I can go in really close to the other plants. Now I couldn't take the big hole and go among the beans like this, but this way I'm right down close to the plants, and I can be very strategic in where I'm actually putting this thing. Now I've gone through and they're weed free. So this is Black Jet soybeans on this end, and the 3 butternut squash you see me just plant, and that is Black Turtle bean, just your basic baking bean. That tool was a new one I made over the winter, and I really had to wait until spring to find out how well it would work. And these two beds were two beds that nothing was growing in except for the crops that I set that I wanted to keep. So this is onion, New York Early, and that's sugar beets. And as I go over the top here now, you can see that that little tool done a very good job, and I could even go in between. If I have 2-inch space, I can go in between, and since I'm down close, I can go for just a single weed if I want in a hurry, and even the tiny weeds I can take out. The onions are growing beautifully. That's New York Early. As far as the sugar beets go, you see that lighter colored plants, that's most of them are sticking up. That's the sugar beets. And most of them are surviving and fine. There's the occasional one missing. There's a few missing there. And up this end, there's a few missing. So I'm going to put in seed wherever there's sugar beets missing. This bed I had reseeded already. See, here's the ones that I set out as plugs. But when I set them back as seeds, because some of the plugs didn't make it, then they are all starting to grow now. I don't remember what kind of beans that are, so I'll have to put it up on the screen. And there's my Brussels sprouts plant that I'm letting go to seed. Now, the strawberry bed I was taking care of because I'm really wanting to get the strawberries going. But as I said, I put carrots among these strawberries. Now, when I was there looking, I found some carrots growing. There's a carrot right there, among the ones that I set, that is. There's another one right here. And so I'm going to have to weed this bed, inspect the area. Here's another one. I'm going to put a Q-tip, I think, in beside every carrot that I can find, and then reseed each row. Yep. These are carrots that I put in the plugs, and some of them are doing beautifully. But that some is not very much. Now you see the little white Q-tips? I counted 32 survivors. I'm going to leave those Q-tips in there, and I'm going to reseed the bed. That way, each one like this has been marked, and I can see hopefully if there's a difference between those and one's direct sown. Well, there wasn't enough carrots to worth talking about, and I can sow rows between the strawberry plants. Again, the strawberries are doing wonderfully fine, and I have strawberries growing. So I won't get many because there's only 24 plants here, but I am really happy with my strawberry bed this year. The garlic keep doing better and better every year. This is a wonderful bed of garlic I have here now. And then next to it, these I'll have to walk all the way around to let you know what kind of onions these are. Okay, these are the New York early onions, which means these out here these are Tropicana Lunga, the smaller ones. The New York early, look at how big those stalks are already. And all the way down. That's going to be a nice onion crop. The potatoes, they're all coming up. I'll have to put up on the screen the exact name of these. Can't remember which one I planted here. Over here are the red beets. And you can't see them just like this now. They're still really tiny. You see I got one coming up here, one here, all nicely spaced because I've done it with the pipe trick. I have to be careful because now you have weeds among them. You pull up the weeds, you can disturb your little seedlings. So once they get up fair size, then I'll be able to pull out all the weeds. And the same bed there. Now out at the end you see some bean plants. That's Provider bean. There's a lot of radish plants growing. My asparagus is doing wonderfully here. And this is one of the tomato plants that I add extra, and I decided to push it in there and see what it does. And then of course there's the sugar beet growing out to seed. Close by the beets, which are out there, and then the compost bins. So you remember I had a compost bin here. I had that few Kennebec potatoes, and I thought I wanted to move this bin anyway. So I moved it from here, put it over there, then I had a bare spot. I poked the potatoes just in the soil, and then I put this mulch over the top. So I'm hoping that the Kennebec potatoes grow, because they are the only indeterminate potato that I have. This, of course, I like to point out the shade area for those people who have shady gardens. This being June the 14th, so June the 21st is as far as the sun will go. And of course you see I have a full row of shady beds in there. I'll have to put the name of each bean up on the screen. The rutabaga in here, probably because of the sifted compost, they're coming much better. You see, some places I accidentally put down 2 seeds, but they are spaced out, for the most part, exactly where I put them in. So this is going to be really nice. And then there's several lettuces here. This is I think from the mix from Shed Wars, and they're growing nicely. I believe it's russet potatoes in the back. But you see, in the shade, now we're into basically full shade, and the cabbage, there's that red cabbage that I like, and then we have the Copenhagen green cabbage. This is a broccoli of some sort, Arcadia. Godzilla, some more Arcadia, and these were extra that I decided to put in here because I had something planned and I don't have the seed for it. Now the lettuce, they're not doing so good in the deep shade. Cabbage, that's Swiss chard over there with the red stems. And of course rhubarb does well in the shade. Coming back out into the sun here, these are randonnized zucchini. I put 4 in here initially. These 2 here died, and so I'm going to put those 2 in now, and I have 1 more in this square box here. The other 2 are vegetable spaghetti. And what I'm going to do, you see, I pulled up some lemon balm here and just threw it down like that. This is going to be a chop and drop bed basically. I am going to, though, harvest a big bunch of this and dry it. You dry and powder lemon balm, and it's perfect tea material. You just put a teaspoon in a French press, pour in some boiling water, let it sit for 10 minutes, pump the press a couple times, and pour out your tea. I didn't completely weed out this bed for the most part. Actually, I missed this bed. But when you're weeding a potato bed, you just pull up the weeds and let them drop again. There's no need to take weeds away unless they are the more difficult weeds, more like the perennial quackgrass and stinging nettles, that kind of thing. Then if you can get them up by the roots, it's better off to get them out of the bed altogether. Then we go back in behind that bed, and I'm really happy with this one. Those 3 across there, those big plants, that's kohlrabi, which I haven't had since I was a child. And I'm really liking the idea of getting kohlrabi this year. Outside here is, it's a cauliflower early snowball. Hopefully that will come in the shade. Yeah, which I found out in the last couple of years that I really like it. It's growing just perfect. And I've been cutting flower heads off this because I don't want this to flower, it to go to seed this year. And then I have some more cauliflower in the back. Now, if you've been gardening, especially doing permaculture, you know about can't remember the name. Anyway, this is dock, which is a similar thing. And you see I've taken some leaves off and just laid them here. And what I'm going to do, see, they pull off similar to rhubarb. And you can just take leaves like that and just lay down for a mulch wherever. He's getting nice. This is the only big dock plant that I had in the traditional garden. This is another bed of potatoes, and as you can see, I pulled up the weeds and just let them drop, as well as here. Now I have another volunteer. This is spinach, I think, growing here, and over here is arugula. I don't know if this is a good comparison or not, because as I've been saying, here we've got full sun, eh? Here we've got pretty much full shade. It gets a bit of direct sun first thing in the morning and last thing in the evening. These are all the rutabaga plugs that I put in, and they are coming along so well. Now over here there's little tiny ones because I didn't have any sprouted, and since I planted out these initial ones, I had some more sprout, and then I got some tiny ones, but I put them in by plugs because volunteer potato, I wanted to compare with this one. But like I said, now this is in full shade. This is the other bed that I set out with the pipe, trying to put the seed directly where I wanted it. And you can see there's one here, one here. There are some spaces, but for the most part, and I think I spaced them out more in this bed. Like spaced them out maybe 6 inches apart. Whereas in the other bed I spaced them out 2 inches. I'm going to wait for them to get up a little higher, and then I'll fill in any gaps when I can see them well. And what I'm thinking now is that I should set out a tray, and then I'll have them already sprouted for when I want to fill in the gaps. Beans, I'll tell you which one's on the screen. I think this is where I put the Yukon Gold potatoes. This bed and this bed. Now coming past the herbs, you can see I started with wood chip mulch. There's a lot of compost underneath that cardboard, as you know, and that's why I was having so much trouble. The quackgrass and the stinging nettles grew so lushly there. And I tried to do the Ruth Stout method last year with some potatoes, and it was just a total lost cause. So I said this year I'll put down cardboard, and the mulch, this is not a 6 inch, it was 6 inches of mulch. This is just some to keep me from, one, slipping on the cardboard, and two, to make it look nice. If any of the weeds, especially grass or stinging nettles, start growing, then I'll move back the mulch, I'll tear that off, I'll put a piece of cardboard down, and I'll put the mulch back on top. Anyway, that's a video for another day. I have to talk about placing mulch. But these, you see these stakes here, so by each hole I have a stake put in, and by each stake there's a plant. That's Dill's Atlantic Giant. So I have 4 here, and I have 3 more now that I have to cut a hole and plant them, and of course put a stake beside them, because I'm thinking I'm going to be growing vine crops, pumpkins, squash, cucumber, and I can use the same spot every year rather than have holes all over. So next year I'll just go where the stake is, and I'll plant a plant by each stake. These 2 are vegetable spaghetti, and as I said in that thing down with the Rondon ice, I have 2 more vegetable spaghetti, so I'll put them out there. And that is the traditional vegetable garden. I'm going to make another video, and we're going to go around outside to little bits and bobs. We'll talk about the trees and a couple places down by the front fence and that. That's for the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Give me that thumbs up. If you want to follow along, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.